What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a Silber turbo kit I installed on my 2016 YXZ 1000. First off, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you did by hitting that red subscribe button down below. Like the video, share the video, all that good stuff. I'm really trying to make this channel get a little bit bigger, trying to buy stuff so, you know, like this turbo kit to have good content for you guys. I know a lot of guys on the forums are asking questions about this kit, which is one of the big reasons why I bought it, so I could do a whole install and whatnot on it and give you my opinions. So you might be wondering, why is this turbo kit already installed when this is supposed to be an install video? Well, unfortunately, me and my buddy JF completely installed this whole kit a few weeks ago. We recorded every step of the way. I kind of wanted it to be a step-by-step process of how to install this, and we lost pretty much all the footage. SD card and my GoPro screwed up, and we lost almost everything. I have a few clips left that didn't get lost from the end of the install, which I will play after this, but for the most part it's all gone. So I figured I'd do a little bit, or talk a little bit about this kit anyways. So some things I like about the kit: obviously I bought it for the same reason everyone else buys this kit for. It's the cheapest kit out there. I like the fact that it is a liquid cooled turbo, so it uses your engine coolant. You have to plumb in coolant lines into the turbo, and it is liquid cooled turbo, so that's nice. That's a nice feature. Other things I like: the install was fairly easy. The instructions are absolutely terrible, which we'll talk about in a minute, but other than that, after you figure out the little things that the instruction kind of leaves you guessing at, install went pretty good. It took about 6-7 hours for me and my buddy to get it in, and worked out all right. I like that the kit is set at 5 pounds, so the wastegate's adjusted so that this kit will run at 5 pounds, which is perfect for anyone running an older, let's say a 2016 to 2018 that have the weak rods. You can run it at 5 pounds and your motor should be okay. There's no guarantees, but it should be. So I like that it's set for that. And I like that it runs off the stock ECU, so technically you don't need to get a tune on it, which would be advised, but you don't have to. It uses a Dolbeck piggyback fuel controller for the fuel management, which is adjustable as well. They also offer this kit, instead of the Dolbeck, you can get a power commander, which most people recommend over the Dolbeck, but I figured I'd try the Dolbeck and see how it is. So some bad things I don't like about the kit: the intake plenum. So the intake plenum's kind of cheap. A lot of kits run like a nice aluminum air box, or the GYTR kit, etc., etc. This one runs it almost looks like a rubber, just rubber silicone. So a lot of people say, you know, the airbox sucks because it's silicone, but if you look here, it actually is very like malleable here. But the main section of this intake plenum itself is very hard. Like, I can't compress it at all. It's not just silicone, it is reinforced. I don't know if it's fiberglass reinforced or something, but overall I guess it's not as nice of a design as an aluminum airbox like most kits run. But once again, the cost here is very low compared to the other kits, so it is what it is, right? Other things I don't like about the kit, like I had mentioned, the instructions, a few steps along the way, very vague, which I'll talk about after. So the instructions are pretty terrible. There's no pictures or anything. If you guys are interested, you can download the instructions right off their website. They don't actually send it in the kit, so you have to download it off their website and print it out. I also don't like the intake, the air filter setup. So I'll give you guys a quick peek here. Now, I'm sure it's probably fine, but just looking at it, like, here's your air filter. I like how most kits run like an airbox style with a round paper filter that drops in. This just uses a K&N little filter that sits inside the cab here. What I don't like about it is, to me it seems really small. Like I said, I'm probably wrong on this and it won't make a difference, but to me it seems really small. And for me to reference this, sleds, snowmobiles, in the winter I used to build a lot of Thundercat 1000cc sleds, and a couple of them I used to run cone filters, like K&N cone filters like this style, on them, and they ran 38 mil carbs, which I bored out to 39.5. But I would run individual filters on each carb, and each carb had a filter pretty much the same size as this, and that was, you know, a 900 1000s running 3 of these. So to me it just seems like, I don't know, kind of small for a, you know, a 1000cc triple. Also, looking at the stock airbox, it's half the size of the primary filter on that, so seems a little cheesy to me. But I don't know, like I said, I could be totally wrong, and there's nothing wrong with it. One thing I don't like is that I wish these were all braided lines. So they use a braided line for your oil feed, which is nice. The return is just a rubber line, and your feed in return for your coolant is rubber lines as well, with just barb fittings. which is fine, like I said, but I prefer braided. But once again, it all comes down to the cost of this kit. This kit is priced, you know, very, very reasonably compared to the others out there. So you're gonna see, you know, cheaper components like that. It's just, it is what it is. And one last thing I didn't really like about the kit is that there's some plastic pieces you have to cut on this to make things fit. So for instance, that filter I just showed you, if you look inside your center console here, normally you'll have a little plastic support that comes here, and you have to cut it out so the filter fits. And then another one, I don't think you'll be able to see it, but oh, actually it's right here. If you look here, I had to cut part of my bed cover out to be able to clear some stuff here before it would come down and over, and it was hitting the intercooler line, so I had to notch that. The intercooler doesn't have a fan setup on it. Their first gen kit did, and this one doesn't. But I have installed the Trail Tech temp gauge, so we are going to watch temps and see how it works. If we have to add a fan, we're going to add a fan. One thing I may do, I've seen another guy on the forum do, is cut this section completely out, and it'll just give you a little bit more airflow. So I might even do something like that, or cut a section of it out and install some sort of grate. But we'll wait and see. We'll drive it and see what it looks like, see what the temps are before we go do anything like that. So here's a couple tips for you guys that if you guys are installing this kit, some problems I had that I figured out. You have to remove your exhaust studs out of your cylinder. So here's your stock stud that threads in the cylinder. Now here in Canada, lots of our stuff gets full of salt and corrosion from the winter. Everything gets rusty and it's very hard to get out. So let me show you here. The stock exhaust stud that comes out of your head has a, I don't know if you can see that, but it's an inverted Torx. So I had an inverted Torx socket on this, and I'd be trying to take it out and the socket would be skipping and whatnot. It wouldn't be coming out. They're really in there good. So what I ended up doing is I had that, and I double nutted. I had another nut in behind this to lock to this nut. I double nutted it so I would be turning that nut while also turning that inverted Torx socket I had on the end of it, and that really helped, and that got them all out. Some of them needed a little bit of heat, but just be very careful when you're taking these out. If you really are struggling and they're not wanting to come out, apply a bit of heat, try the double nut technique along with using the inverted Torx on the end, and you should help you out. These block off plates, you pretty much need them. They don't come with the kit. There's lots of companies out there that make them. I use the Driven Products block off plate kit. Actually, I have the part number here for you guys if anyone's interested. So it's DS Block 20. You're gonna need those. They say that you don't have to, but if you're not using these block off plates, basically you got to keep all your smog lines in there and just plug them, and it doesn't look good. So it's worth it just to invest a little bit of money, buy those block off plates, and be done with it. Where your turbo manifold here meets its adapter to go into the head, there is no gaskets between the manifold and here, which is very weird to me. Any metal on metal surface, there should be a gasket, there should be something, and they do not run them. So I was gonna see what happened if it leaked. I was gonna get some gaskets. It's actually a Volvo part number that I can get you guys if you need it. There is gaskets you can get for this, but honestly, I started it and watched it and it doesn't leak. So you know what, for me, it's not a problem. I just thought it was kind of weird that they wouldn't run a gasket on two metal surfaces. Some things that they leave vague in the instructions. Now, when you're trying to find this oil line, they don't really tell you. They just say it's an oil line on the back of the head, and there's no pictures. And it's very hard to see. It's easy here because I have the line now, but there's a little 8mm bolt that'll be in here. You're gonna have to pull that out of the head, and then you install your feed line. That feed line was extremely difficult to get in there. I had to end up cutting a socket and all kinds of stuff to get it in there. But that's because I didn't want to remove the throttle bodies. You're supposed to, but you can do it without removing the throttle bodies. The coolant feed and return line, they also left out kind of vague in here in the instructions. So there is a small little 1/4" line that goes from here and it goes to here. So you're going to remove that line, and that's your supply and return for your coolant system. They say that the oil return to your crankcase is on the passenger side of the engine, which it is not, which is maybe just a typo, but here it is. It's going to be the small one on your stator cover, not the big plug, the small one. When you're removing this bed, which is the first step, I recommend you take the cage off. I loosened all the bolts and just pulled it up, and it was still sitting on here, but it gives you enough room to get the bed out. A lot of guys do it without removing the cage, which you can, but like you're really flexing this bed to get around the cages in the back corner here. So in my opinion, since you got to take it off and put it back on in the end again, just take the bed completely off and be done with it. The kit also comes with this bracket here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but it bolts under to your coil mounts, and it goes under all this stuff and mounts to your throttle body. So now under boost, the throttle bodies are going to want to tend to try and pull off the boots. So what this does is it keeps the throttle body in place. Throttle bodies can't pull off the boots. Everything stays secure. That's a nice piece to the kit. I really do like that they included that. Now it looks like a bracket that another company sells. I don't want to mention the name, so I'm not sure if they're buying it from that company or they're making it themselves, but regardless, nice piece of the kit. I do like that they put that in there. So really that was the few things that I ran into trouble with. Just like I said, some people had to cut some of these silicone lines to get things to fit nice and to get things to be not kinked. In my case, I didn't have to. It went on pretty good. So that's about it for little things that I ran into trouble with that might help you guys if you're installing it. I also made a plate here. I'll show you. I actually cut it out of an old Milwaukee drill case. I ended up making a plate here. I'm gonna run a boost gauge to monitor that to make sure it actually is at 5. I'm running AFR gauge because I'd like to monitor what it's at. This kit is designed to run off the stock spark arrestor in the slip-on, which I don't have. I have an aftermarket spark arrestor. So I'd like to be able to see what it's running at wide open throttle. And we are able to make slight adjustments on this controller, which they give you here, which is just a Dobek controller. We are able to make slight adjustments, so that's good. We're going to be able to monitor that, make adjustments. I also plan on potentially putting rods in this thing, building the motor over the winter time, and running a whole lot more boost next year. So I wanted the FR for future performance upgrades. So yeah, you know what? I'll play the clips I do have. Like I said, I had a few clips left from near the end of the install that I didn't lose off my GoPro. Unfortunately, I know everyone's going to hate me for this, but I'm not able to drive it. I'm waiting on a stock ECU, which I don't have. I have a tuned one, which is a long story, but I'm waiting on a stock ECU. It's been about 4 weeks now and it's still not in. So I'm really itching to drive this thing and I can't. But anyways, I'll play the rest of the clips from the end of the video.
So we are done the install. As far as hardware goes, got the intercooler on, got the intake on. It's kind of just a K&N generic filter tossed on the end there.
Kind of seems a little small.
A little small for you know, what you would expect for a unit like this. I mean, that looks like something straight out of like a Geo Metro or something, yeah. Eh? Other than that, I mean, it went together pretty good. There's a couple things, obviously, that you know, it shows that it's not a big money turbo kit, but it is definitely not bad for what you get. The only thing left to do is put in our Silber Turbo Advanced Snowmobile Performance Parts controller. Anything? What are you thinking?
So far, so good, man.
Yeah.
Doesn't look too bad. Like I said, or like you said, a couple little cheesy things there.
Yeah.
But overall, not bad. We didn't have to modify anything, I don't think. Everything was pretty good. Some stuff was a bit of a fight to get it on there, but
yeah,
for the most part, not bad.
That intake boot there was
yeah, that was silly. That was a little dumb.
That was a little hard to get on.
But other than that, pretty good.
Heck yeah, man.
Seemed to turn out all right.
I'm happy with it.
So we'll get that fuel controller in. I don't really know. I'm assuming you have to pull injector harnesses and plug it into the controller, and it's probably got a splitter on the controller end for each injector one. So.
Probably.
Oh, well, figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. Okay, we're just finishing up a couple connectors here. Unfortunately, though, we're not going to be able to run this thing today. We'll be able to start it and idle it, but we can't actually go down the road.
Everyone's going to hate me for that.
Yeah, I know. The ECU that Jamie had ordered actually had an exhaust tune on it, and apparently it screws with the timing.
Yeah, the timing apparently is way too far advanced on like an NA tune for an exhaust or whatnot, which is really bad for this turbo setup. So we'll let it idle and check for leaks and stuff like that. I don't really want to drive it just because, well, you know, I'm not going to grenade it just because I don't want to wait 2 weeks for a ECU. Unfortunately, like I said, I know everyone's going to hate me for this.
And I mean, even if we wanted to, I don't have the XRC here today.
Yeah, no comparison.
I had to order a ZRP radius rod plate because, of course, in classic X3 fashion, my radius rods are walking around. Yeah, so I ended up ordering that, waiting for that to come in. And then we are gonna most likely, what, maybe next weekend?
What's that?
Put them against each other?
Probably weekend after, because I don't think the ECU will be in next week.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
There's our shipping again.
Yeah.
37-day shipping.
Yeah, perfect.
Priority.
Awesome.
Bro, awesome. Oh, what are you gonna do, man?
Not much, you know.
Not too much.
Can't win them all, right?
Can't win them all.
You know?
Well.
Sometimes in life, you know, you just lose.
Okay, here we go.
He's
got his racing seat installed.
It says crank it for 10 seconds. Okay, the coils are unplugged.
Yeah, so we got the coils unplugged.
Oh! I thought I forgot there was no seat there. I just fell right in there.
So we got the coils unplugged. Crank her over.
About 10 seconds there.
No leaks yet.
Shut her off.
Seemed like a slight exhaust leak, if anything, but
You know what? It's weird. It honestly didn't look like it slipped in far enough when I originally put it in.
yeah.
But I wanted to just see what happens because I was trying to force it in and it didn't really seem like it wanted to go more. But yeah, that might be it. We'll probably have to push that in farther. There's one thing I wanted to check too. Now I can't remember what it was before I started it.
Whatever.
Everything's tight. Tight.
Yeah, I didn't see any leaks. The coolant doesn't seem to be leaking yet, anyways.
Oh, I know what I wanted to check.
What did you want to check?
Just the V-band clamps on the turbo there.
Oh, yeah, that
Because I moved it earlier.
Yeah, it was loose.
But it looks like they're bottomed out, so I don't know. But let's see.
The V-band clamp for
Both sides, the hot and cold side.
yeah, for the charge air side there,
Yeah.
it's actually maxed right out, and
Yeah, I noticed that.
like it's the wrong V-band clamp.
right on.
Yeah.
Oh, bro.
All right, it's time to start it.
The seating position's really good. I can't
Yeah, that looks really good, man.
See above the dash.
That's like X3 seating position.
Yeah, how about it? All right, here we go.
Any leak?
I think yeah, this is leaking. But I'll tighten that up after. We'll let it run for like a minute.
Oh, that new turbo smell.
Yeah, all the oil's gonna burn off there.
Yeah.
So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Like I said at the start of the video, if you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you did. Plan on doing all kinds of stuff with this. We're going to go to the sand dunes this year. We're going to race this thing. My buddy JS is going to be doing a bunch of suspension upgrades, possibly some brace kit stuff on his X3. So we'll have videos on that. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned and see you later.